In 2023, I and 8 others set out on a trip to Hudson's Bay. They were both people who I'd known for years and those who I'd never met before. And for the 38 days we spent together, they became some of the closest people in my life.
Well, in my time of dying, I don't want nobody to mourn. All I want my friends to do, coming for my dying arms. Well, so I can die. So I can die easy. So I can die easy. Jesus gonna make up my dying bed. Won't you meet me, Jesus, meet me? Won't you meet me in the middle of the air? And if these wings should fail me, Lord, won't you meet me with another pair? Won't you meet me, Jesus? Won't you meet me, Jesus? Won't you meet me, Jesus? Jesus gonna make up my dying bed. Now I'm going on down to the river, stick my soul up in the sand. I'm gonna shout my troubles over, Lord, I done made it to the promised land. Well, I done crossed over, well, I done crossed over, I done crossed over. Jesus gonna make up my dying bed. Ever since I've been acquainted with Jesus, we haven't met a fire. He placed the receiver in my ear through religion in my heart. I can ring up my Jesus. I can ring up my Jesus. I can ring up my Jesus. Jesus gonna make up my dying bed. And I'm going on down to the river, stick my soul up in the sand. I'm gonna shout my troubles over, Lord, I done made it to the promised land. Well, I done crossed over, I done crossed over, I done crossed over. Jesus gonna make up my dying bed.
I'm being crushed.
So you got like 6 inches of foot space. Yeah, that's a little room tour.
Hey, so it's day 6 of 38 right now. Had a bit of a windy night last night, and about 12:30 last night, I think all the stakes blew, and our tent became a massive pillow. So we go out. We all spent about half an hour trying to hold the tent up at 12:30. Then we just kind of gave up. That's part of the pole that broke. You can see it literally just bent 180 degrees. Makes the tent look a little wonky.
At Pathfinder, we often refer to the experiences we have as secondary fun. Not the kind of thing that you enjoy in the moment, but something that's so incredibly difficult or exhausting that it can only be truly appreciated in retrospect. In many ways, these were the most difficult 5 weeks of my life, and they tested every one of my limits. And that's why I loved it so much more than anything I can begin to describe. Our trip began with over 20 hours on the train from Sudbury, and lots of driving. So so much driving. And finally, on the third day of the trip, we dipped our paddles into the waters of Wendigo Lake, marking the true start of our journey. The next month of our lives that would be spent completely isolated, traveling to Hudson's Bay.
It's day 13. It's still wet and rainy.
10 days straight, baby.
We stayed at this really nice trapping cabin, but it is time to move on. We left them a little thank you. Kids are down by the boat. They don't know that we've been telling them this bush is a portage. This portage is a bush. It's actually a portage. There's actually a trail. Fingers crossed. I'll keep you updated. On this dreary day, what are your words to the world?
Hopefully our next 1.8 kilometer bush is not a bush.
He doesn't know. Bush update. There was no trail. I I tried to manifest that, but it obviously didn't work. We are in the middle of nowhere. We're 400 meters from the start and 1,600 from the end. I'll check in later.
The first 2 weeks of our trip were pure rain. We barely caught a moment of sunshine during the day that wasn't followed by a complete downpour. Every day followed roughly the same schedule. Wake up exhausted and aching, pack up camp, shovel oatmeal for breakfast, paddle and trek as hard as possible, only to reach our camp soaked, before setting up and climbing into our dripping tents. Rinse and repeat. This entire over 2-week stretch of our trip, from day 4 until 21, resulted in a complete gap in my journaling. Yet this was one of the most memorable parts of the trip for me. The difficulty of it that we were thrown straight into was the exact kind of thing that I will treasure forever. No matter how hard the day was, or how awful some part of it, it was never truly awful, because I always took something away from it. There was always a part of our days that we could pull some joy from. Whether it was a fun patch of rapids, eating a good meal, laughing in the canoes, even if it was just a memory or a moment to learn, every day was a gift. Especially the ones that in the moment were absolutely dreadful.
Changing all my strings, I'm gonna write another traveling song about all the billion highways and the cities at the break of dawn. Well, I guess the best that I can do now is pretend that I've done nothing wrong, and a dream about a train that's gonna take me back where I belong. Well, now the ocean speaks and spits and I can hear it from the interstate, and I'm screaming at my brother on the cell phone, he's far away, and I'm saying nothing in the past or future ever will feel like today.
Anyway,
until we're parking in an alley, just hoping that our shit is safe. So I go back and forth forever. All my thoughts, they come in pairs. I will, I won't, I doubt I don't. I'm not surprised, but I never feel quite prepared. Now I'm hunched over a typewriter, I guess you'd call that painting in a cave. And there's a word I can't remember and a feeling I cannot escape. And now my ashtray's overflowing, I'm still staring at a clean white page. Oh, and morning's at my window and she is sending me to bed again, where I dream the dark on the horizon, I dream a desert where the dead lay down. I dreamed a prostituted child touching an old man in a fast food crowd. Oh yeah, I dreamt the ship was sinking, there was people screaming all around. And I awoke to my alarm clock, it was a pop song, it was playing loud. So I will find my fears and face them, or I will cower like a dog. I will kick and scream or kneel and plead. I'll fight like hell to hide that I've given up.
As we set foot into Fort Severn, the final destination of our journey, all the weight of what we'd accomplished came crashing down on me. Sleeping that night was one of the best feelings in the world. The days there felt very strange. Compared to what we were used to, this seemed so comfortable, and it made me begin to miss the rain, the long days, the endless hours of paddling through freezing cold, lugging an over 100-pound pack for kilometers. This trip truly made me appreciate the little things in life. So being able to eat a home-cooked meal, drive around on an ATV, fly home on an airplane, use a sink in an airport, they all felt like luxuries. This was a journey not only physically, but mentally. A true test of patience and endurance that made even the mundane seem entertaining. Like sorting nuts on a train for 2 hours. Every second closer to home, my feeling of nostalgia for the beginning of our trip grew. Taking the same train back to Sudbury, driving the same highways to camp, and as we finally pulled into the parking lot of the dock, all I could think was, I can't believe it's all over. Over 800 kilometers and 38 days spent, and that was all that came to mind. In many ways, this reminds me of a quote from a childhood movie of mine that goes like this.
When King Lear dies in Act 5, do you know what Shakespeare has written? He's written, he dies. That's all, nothing more. No fanfare, no metaphor, no brilliant final words. The culmination of the most influential work of dramatic literature is, he dies. And I know it's only natural to be sad, but not because of the words he dies, but because of the life we saw prior to the words.
We out here, Kinesiosee Lake.
It is night 1 on the Ashwig of 1. I love checking boxes. Morning. This is a day 30. I am slowly going sane. The second man, he sleep on carpet all night and he complain about rock. Maybe should have brought Thermarest.
This is day 31 on Fawn River. I stepped into office today thinking I have to deal with many files. I did not realize I work as line cook at diner.
I am other line cook. Hello. So this is our last day on the Severn River. Take a look. We're here. Hudson Bay Coast, baby. How's it feel?
Feels good.